Tom, welcome to the show. Before we dive into anything too interesting, I'm going to start with the Man Alive Minute. So these are a couple quick fire questions. You just say whatever comes into your mind, okay?
Okay, that's dangerous.
Do you have a well-being habit that you swear by?
Yes. I don't eat any processed food.
What would your death row meal be?
A bunch of processed food.
Okay. How important is coffee to you?
It's important in the sense that it's part of my daily routine, and more habitually, I do it before every morning workout, and it's like the part of my day. Yeah. And it's got to be good coffee, though. That's the thing. There's not any old coffee. I don't drink any of the sort of the chain ones. It's more about really good quality coffee.
You're grinding your beans.
Fresh.
Which of your acting roles has impacted you the most personally?
Oh, well, depending on which part of my life. Black Sails was huge because it was a massive turnaround in the way I looked at fitness, because we had to do a crazy fitness routine and regime and nutrition. So I learned a lot about that. So that changed my life a lot doing Black Sails. But what's been the most sort of has changed me or has been hugely challenging for me was working on Umbrella Academy. I was shooting in Toronto and my family were over in the UK. And my wife was actually pregnant throughout the whole of season 2 of Umbrella Academy, and I was trying to get back and forth to be with her and my son while she was pregnant. So that was definitely the most challenging. Yeah.
American accent or South African accent?
Which one's better or which one's easier?
Let's start with
more
better.
Fun.
Okay, which is more fun?
More fun American.
Okay.
Especially when I'm playing a character like Luther in Umbrella Academy is way more fun. But Rhodesian has a real kind of gravitas to it, which is really, really cool. Yeah.
It makes you sound oddly more serious, I find.
They are more serious.
He was very serious.
Yeah.
In that, yeah.
Oh,
that could have just been the amazing acting. Okay, and then finally, what's your favourite and least favourite part of the filmmaking process?
Getting to work with other actors and play around on set and find amazing moments. There's no feeling like knowing you've nailed a scene with a fellow acting partner, and building something together that is truly great. And the worst part is probably the waiting around. People don't realize how much waiting around there is while making a movie or a show. I like to move quite fast because once you're in it, you want to be just like going again. So you're in the flow of it. Whereas TV and film, there's a lot of setups, and it can take sometimes an hour between setups to go again on a scene. So there's a lot of waiting around.
And it's not minute based, but what are you doing for the time? You just there I'll just do some crunches.
Yeah, we were literally going. In fact, on the first on Dark Wolf terminal list, we would go and do like a bunch of like push-ups and squats and do like a little metcon or something in between to kill time. But a lot of the time, I mean, you're told to go and sit in a trailer or go and sit in the green room. Well, because it's all to do with lighting and stuff. So they're setting up the next shots with the lighting rigs and everything. So some of those things, depending on how elaborate the sets are, can take a long time.
I want to get straight into your blood tests.
Fantastic.
And we're going to start looking at some really interesting results.
Right.
But to tie that all in, before we get to that, I want you to tell me a bit about how your diet and lifestyle impacts on your life.
Well, I like to think that it makes me healthier. I think I try to fuel, and it also depends on what I'm doing it for at the time, right? Because I got to take into account if like my body shape is changing or maintaining for a type of role, right? So for instance, Raife in Terminal List, he's a little bit bigger. He's more functional. So like the kind of training I'm doing is more functional. So I'm not just doing like a bodybuilder workout routine. I'm doing more functional workouts. So working between endurance and strength and stuff. So I've got to be able to fuel that. So I've gone, in terms of diet, I've gone from doing like a carnivore diet, which is very ketogenic, to a much higher glycogen-based eating. So, and that right now is what I'm on. I'm eating much more carbohydrates to fuel a more higher intensity training regime.
So just give me your sort of normal day of what you eat.
So morning, usually I'll train first thing. I'll have a coffee and train fasted usually, but I'll have made sure that I've had enough glycogen in my system from the night before. So I train fasted, and then I'll eat somewhere around between 8 and 9 o'clock. I'll have maybe a steak, a couple of eggs, and a bunch of fruit post-workout. Blueberries, raspberries, banana, apple, kiwis, anything like that. Lunch might be something more like rice with some ground beef or something, or a couple of chicken breasts. Usually somewhere anything between. I tend to not count calories. I tend to go on what I feel I need and what feels good. So if I'm feeling fueled for the day, I just stick by that. So I kind of have managed to dial in roughly what I need. And there's usually like a transitional period. If I'm changing diets, I'll transition, into more higher carbohydrate. I'll lower my fats a little bit. So I want to always stay relatively lean, but feel fueled.
I would say your terminology of relatively lean is probably different to like an average person, right? Because
well, what do you call relatively lean?
I would say, I don't know, 10 to 15% body fat.
Oh, okay.
You're talking like 0.3%.
No way.
Negative numbers.
Like paper thin.
For most people, we want to try and eat healthy.
Yeah.
But you're able to sustain this at a near complete consistency. Like you just don't have that cheat. Whereas, on some days I just go, I'm just going to go have a couple of pints with a mate. And you're able to just go, actually, you know what? I can just hold back and never crumble.
Yeah. So, well, I suppose it's I always used to ask myself the question, why do I need, if I can go see that mate, I'm asking myself, why do I need to have the pint with that mate? Can I go and have something else that's not alcoholic, or even like a sweetened drink, even if I just go and have a water, say, for instance? And I remember like trying to test myself, thinking, can I go out for like a full night with all my mates, not drink, and have just as good a time? And then I started realizing that I could, and then felt better for it the next day.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, it's actually not as hard as I thought. And then you just keep doing it, and then it becomes habitual in itself. And feeling good feels habitual then. You go, it becomes a habit to wake up feeling like you want to go for a run in the morning versus, oh man, I feel zapped.
Yeah.
So for me, that was just like the transitional thing of it, and just like trying these things and see how I felt, and then going, oh, it's actually not that bad.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you that. Fine.
Can't get his head around it.
How do you train for a specific role differently?
I ask myself a bunch of questions before training for that role. So I think about what I want them to look like. Number one, what would they look like based off what their exercise routines are? For instance, Raife, as a Navy SEAL, he's strong, super functional, would be doing a mix of endurance work and strength work for sure. So that's basically what I do. I go, okay, well, he would train like this. So I put that into a regime. So I do a mix of those kind of exercises in a...
Did you have someone tell you, I need to do this, and this training?
No, sometimes they do, but usually it's down to the individual to take on that responsibility. For something like a superhero role, like Marvel, they'll have trainers that want them to get to a specific size or look a certain way, but like if, for instance, like Luther in Umbrella Academy, most of the time I'm in a muscle suit anyway, so I didn't need to look any particular way. So for me, it was more about Tom Hopper being a certain shape to carry that muscle suit around all the time and be able to be functional and be fit and healthy enough to work it all the time and be able to fight in it and be flexible enough to fight in it. So that was my training regime for that. So I do all those kind of exercises, but then also know that maybe straight after shooting a season in Umbrella Academy, I've got to go into shooting something where I've got more muscle mass. So I might put a bit more on during the shooting of Umbrella to make sure I'm ready for that next thing. So
was it deliberately that it was like massive up top with normal legs?
Yes.
Because I always wondered.
So have you ever seen the comic book?
No.
There's a comic book that obviously Umbrella Academy is based on. And if you look at him in that, that's kind of how he looks. But he's got like a spacesuit thing on because he's like, space boy. But we kind of took that as influence, and which is hilarious because I actually don't have small legs.
No.
So I never skip leg day. But Luther made it look like I did.
It was just a really weird...
And head day. My head looks so small.
Yeah. Did they have to do anything with that? Is that like an
Just
AI
like
thing?
some
Or
HGH in there.
Yeah. Do you think there's a lot of pressure on actors like yourself to have certain physiques now in Hollywood?
I think there's an expectation. It depends on the role, right? Like if you have a shirtless scene, you know, I think there's probably an expectation to look a certain ways, particularly if you are in a role that people are expecting it, whether it's a superhero role or things like that. I think it's also depends on the career that you've already built, right? So if people think, oh yeah, he's always in great shape, and then he has a shirtless scene, you expect him to turn up in great shape.
That's motivation not to have the cheat day, isn't it? Because in the back of your head, you're always like, oh, they could ask me for this role. So you can never.
Yeah,
just
so
like,
that's the thing is like I actually had periods where I would do that. Like I would get in shape for a role and then I would be like, oh, amazing. I've got like 3 months off. And then a movie would come up where I've been eating crap for, 2 months. And in that movie, I've got to do a shirtless role and it's in like 3 weeks time. I'm like, oh my God, like I haven't got time to get into shape. So that's those kind of like a wake up calls to go, you know what, it's easier just to stay at like a sort of a default level and always be somewhat in good shape. And then you just take that stress away.
Yeah, that seems fair. Were you told when you were younger not to train for muscle or not to be bigger?
Yeah. Well, in drama school, they told us to not lift weights because it would tighten you up on stage. So everything, at drama school in the UK is all about, how you look on stage and everything. But we were told to not lift weights. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if that's still the case now, but we were when we were at drama school. But a few of us did anyway.
Snuck out.
Yeah.
Snuck out to the bench.
We'd go and train, yeah.
If you can only pick 3 exercises then, what would you pick?
I always say bang for buck. A man maker move, where it's like
Right.
you get in a push-up position with 2 dumbbells.
Yeah.
And you do a renegade row each side. Or you
Yeah.
do push-up, renegade row each side, another push-up, and then you do a burpee, do a clean and jerk.
That's just
Full cleans a squat.
That's basically just done everything.
Exactly.
That's not
So like bang for buck, that's a full body movement
right.
where you've done everything, and it's it's kind of.
I think you say like bicep curls.
Bicep curl.
Bicep wrists and a press up. Do you know if I just was have a cheat day, cheat meal?
What would you describe as a cheat meal? Like I have so let's put it this way. So I don't eat any processed foods.
Yeah.
But I will eat things like desserts if they're made fresh by. My sister-in-law, she makes an amazing apple crumble. My mum makes an amazing apple and raspberry meringue pie, things like that, right?
Okay.
If they're made and brought over, I'll have that for sure because it's been freshly made, made with love, as the Italians will say. And and they react different. That kind of sugar or carbohydrates, right? Especially if I'm in a higher carbohydrate setting for my training anyway, that's going to get used up. So that's more usable for the body than like a hyper processed food.
Yeah,
same amount
I
of
get
calories.
that.
It's completely different.
You're never just going to go sneak in a Mars bar.
No. All those things are like I used to have those things all the time. Like, trust me, when in my mid to late 20s and the whole time through my childhood up until maybe like 28, 29, I used to eat Haribo sweets, every sweet. I used to eat all those sweets every single day. Like Haribos, all those sort of things, chocolate bars, you name it. I'd go through like 12 Krispy Kreme donuts in one sitting sometimes. I remember there's one time me and my brother, we went to a shopping center when we had some time to kill and we were like, should we get some Krispy Kremes? And we got a whole dozen and then just smashed the whole dozen. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot we used to do that sort of thing. But then I also remember, oh yeah, I used to have headaches all the time.
And diabetes.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be like, why am I so tired all the time?
And I was morbidly obese.
Like, what is this? So it's only because I know how it feels when I do that and eat those sort of things that I was then able to go, oh, when I felt the difference, when I come off all those things, because that was when I did black sales, right? I came off all those kind of hyper processed foods and just started eating real food and was like, wow, this feels so much better. And then I would go back after I finished shooting, I'd go back to eating all that sort of stuff and feel rubbish again. So you kind of see the other side of it and go, this is so much better. So I just was like, well, I don't need any of that stuff. Like this, I get addicted to feeling good. So I want to kind of look for things that make me feel that way.
Bloods-wise,
yes,
your nutritional levels are really good, as we would expect.
Right.
And what about your cholesterol and your lipids?
Well, I imagine my cholesterol, in terms of what is deemed normal within a medical society, would be high, right? Because I eat a lot of red meat and a lot of saturated fat. What I've always learned about with cholesterol, especially these days in terms of cholesterol, there are different types, which we haven't gone into as much depth in these, but also your triglycerides and the triglyceride balance between cholesterol and your triglycerides. So I've always paid more attention to that than just cholesterol as a singular marker. So I usually on bloods have particularly high cholesterol, but that doesn't really bother me in the grand scheme of things when I look at all my other markers. So I'm assuming that's what's going to come up.
No, you are right.
Yeah.
I think, so your total cholesterol is higher than we want it to be. Your good cholesterol, which is the LDL, that's the stuff that takes the fat out of your blood and puts it in your liver and keeps it out of the way, is still better than your LDL, which is your bad cholesterol, which takes it out of your liver and puts it in your blood, where it can stick to stuff like arteries. And your ratio is still good. In an ideal world, I would still say to you, I'd still want even less of the cholesterol in your diet if you could. I mean, the other marker we test for, which is called apolipoprotein B, which is a really sensitive marker to give you kind of like a cardiac risk in the future. Yours is really low. So I guess the message is that for you, it probably doesn't impact in the same way. But if you took those same set of results and transposed that onto an average guy who maybe is drinking every couple of nights and he isn't exercising very much and he's eating those processed foods, and then suddenly that cholesterol does count.
Yes.
Because it's then one of those big factors that's contributing.
That's the thing, right? So I think that's what I was saying before, I suppose, is like as an individual marker, how much of it really equates to you have to look at all those other markers with it versus just the cholesterol.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think that cholesterol has been one of these things for years now, hasn't it? About, how much of a contributor is it to heart disease? And then I've seen lots of cases recently on studies that there are people having heart attacks and their cholesterol lipids were perfectly normal. So it's not always a direct correlation. It's just sometimes it happens to be there.
I think the way to associate is it's known to be a contributing factor. It's just one piece of a bigger puzzle.
Exactly. Yeah,
if everything else in your life is healthy and this is allowing you to do all the stuff you want to do and you're going with that, then that's fine. I think the problem is when people will take, if they were to take this discussion and go, well, if he's got a cholesterol of like 6, then it's fine for me to do that. As they're then like puffing on a cigarette, eating their Greg's pasty on the way to work. And you're like, well, like that's when this stops working because it's all part of a bigger picture.
Yeah.
I mean, more people die of heart attack than anything else in the UK. Still more men die of heart attacks than anything else. So I agree cholesterol isn't the be all and end all, but when you're desperately trying to sort of bang your head against a wall of resilience where people don't want to address these things, I just want to say, like, everyone with a high cholesterol, think about, like, should you be doing things differently? Should you be smoking? Should you be taking a statin? There's just a lot you could do to still improve.
Yeah.
And within a couple of years, I'll start nagging you about your statin and you can say no then. Right. Other interesting things in your blood.
Go on.
So from a exercise and Hollywood perspective, you have to train pretty hard, don't you?
Yeah, for certain roles, yeah. And then I'm also I'm in training for a high rocks race at the minute, which has completely changed my training even more so, and the intensity's gone through the roof.
What's your daily training now?
Much more strength-based training with endurance training at the same time, and also like high intensity runs, interval training, ergs like rowing, ski ergs, massive weight sled pushes, things like that. So I'm breaking down a lot of muscle tissue as well as pushing my body pretty hard cardiovascularly as well.
That is a beautiful segue into discussing your test result, are you familiar with a blood test called creatine kinase?
Yeah.
Obviously. So
How high was it?
Uh,
Because I did a big intense workout the morning of this blood test.
So
I'm
I'll give
intrigued
it,
to know.
for those people who don't know what creatine kinase is, I'll put it in reference for you. So creatine kinase is a breakdown of muscle tissue, and in a healthy individual, creatine kinase can be broken down from training hard. You'll see it in your blood test, and then you process it in your liver and you pee it out, and it has no impact. It's absolutely fine. If you had kidney disease, which you don't have, by the way, that'd be an awful reveal on a podcast.
What?
Yeah, surprise.
Cut.
Then that would be bad because you couldn't excrete the waste product. Or if you're like 90 and bedbound and your creatine kinase is high, that means you're not training for it. It means something is breaking down your muscle, like sepsis, infections, chronic immobility, lots of bad things like fractures. They all do this. So that's not you. A normal person, I'm assuming you're not normal in this sense, could have up to around 300 units per litre if they've trained pretty well.
Right.
Do you want to have a guess at what your number was?
Oh,
And
God,
I'll
I'm
tell
not
you when
in-
you're hitting dialysis level.
I imagine, based on the workout I did that morning and the day before, I imagine it's probably, if it's 300 is, I mean, I'm always well over that anyway. So I'd imagine maybe 800, 900.
Very good. 999.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's just because the computer doesn't go past 3 digits. It was like an old-fashioned little tick thing.
We don't have 1,000.
We don't have 1,000. I thought it'd be quite interesting. I showed this to a mate who's a renal physician and just showed him that. I didn't show him your age or anything else. And he went, "Oh, do we need to admit him?" I went, maybe. I don't know. So yeah, very impressive.
Okay.
So that's good. So basically, this is just showing that you are training really, really hard. And as long as your kidneys are fine and the rest of your marks, and we know why you'll get this level, that's okay. But, you know, as I said, if we saw this in a 70-year-old person who's not been exercising, you say, crikey, let's get them to intensive care.
Well, full disclosure, we actually had this conversation when one of the first sets of bloods I had with Jeff, we saw these kind of results. And I obviously was like, wait, are you sure? Are you sure? That's when he was like, yeah, you've just been training hard. I was like, I don't know, that doesn't feel normal. So I said, I want a kidney scan just to make sure. So you sent me for a kidney scan and kidneys were perfectly normal.
I would like to reiterate from a medical perspective, we tend not to just do tests because you feel you want them.
Yeah,
Give me one. There was like a real, I think we were generally concerned the number was so high because I think you've had it more than 1,000 before. So,
yeah, I mean, there's been times, I mean, that's when I've done like big, like a big deadlift session or squat session, like anything like heavy, like legs, big compound movements. And then I have a blood test within a couple of days. It's, you know, it's broken down so much muscle tissue, but also like I've seen this before. Like I saw that there was some like bodybuilders I saw were they purposefully don't train like 6 days before blood tests because all those things will be skewed. But
are these like pro bodybuilders?
Yeah.
There may be other things they don't want tested.
There may be other things that don't want to show up on that.
Just to clarify then, so I mean, I know you know this, but creatine kinase is not related to creatine monohydrate.
Yeah.
And it's not related to the supplement. Do you take monohydrate?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's a brilliant supplement.
Yeah.
Really good evidence, very safe.
And you really feel the difference with creatine. Like it's something that I never really took actually in like my 20s, I guess. And then all this new research came out about it from the cognitive benefits as well.
Yeah.
And then I remember when I had to put on some size and I thought, actually, I better just start taking some creatine. And it was incredible. Within like a couple of weeks, like my strength, I felt went up, my recovery, just my ability to sort of go harder and longer in workouts. And the other one I've noticed for like more endurance work is beta alanine.
Yeah,
beta alanine has been very beneficial for me for endurance stuff. So yeah, for me, those two, bang for buck, are brilliant.
I think creatine is one of those few supplements that you think, wow, how has this not been made an illegal substance or something? Because it generally just has really good evidence and it's really safe and it doesn't affect your creatine kinase. It's fine for your kidneys. There were the suggestions it has kidney, but it doesn't impact your kidneys.
Yeah.
There are a couple of cases where if you have advanced kidney disease, you shouldn't take it. But that's like, I'm talking like CKD, like, so quite markers of kidney disease, but quite far down. So you've got to
Yeah.
be pretty buggered with the stuff. But actually, for most guys, they're absolutely fine.
Totally
Creatine is
fine.
really good. And then you're right, we give it to older people now, and their
Mm.
cognitive function goes up.
Yeah.
It's great stuff.
Yeah, there was a whole, wasn't there a study recently about creatine, like high dose creatine, like almost like 20 grams, 30 grams a day for people with Alzheimer's and dementia, and it was reversing some effects of that.
I feel like you're the doctor now.
I do my reading.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. There was, there's been some stuff out recently about that. Yeah.
We'll get back to Tom in one sec. Man Alive is a new show, and we have a huge amount of great celebrities and experts coming on to share with us both personal experiences and expert advice around men's health, as well as diving into real blood tests of guests like Tom's. So please press subscribe to ensure you don't miss any of them. Now, back to Tom. In terms of fitness and exercise then, creatine and creatinine kinase is fine. Kidney function is fine. Diet-wise, you're very high in protein, and that's to sustain everything you're doing, obviously. What's your opinion on how much protein people should be eating? Because I think that gets quite a lot of contentious discussion.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole, gram per pound of body weight thing, which I think is a good, it's a fairly good marker to go on. I think if you are exercising hard and breaking down a lot of muscle tissue, I think your body can probably process a lot more than that, because it's going to get used. I certainly notice that if I have to have like a few days off for whatever reason, and I'm not hitting the gym as hard or at all for whatever reason, I will cut right back on my protein just because I don't feel like I need it. Like I literally go, I don't really want this whole steak, or I don't need to eat again today because I'm full. It's not gone anywhere. So I think I've always kind of gone on feel, especially in the last like 10 years or so. I sort of go on what I feel I need. And if I really want to smash like a whole steak, like a big, massive ribeye or filet or whatever, I'm going to eat that thing because my body's craving it and wants it. So I think it's all about your activity level and then going on feel after that.
I agree. I think there's been a lot of over dramatization around how much protein is bad for you.
Yeah.
And certainly evidence now is that over 40, we need more protein than we used to. You don't absorb it as
for
well.
muscle preservation and
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Yeah. You just can't absorb it in the way you could when you're younger. So
Yeah.
you need to increase it. Even if you're not training, you just need to eat more protein.
Yeah. And actually, a lot of older people were like, I remember when I was younger, like my granddad and my gran, like they started to eat less.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like how much frailer they became the lesser they ate. And I was thinking, man, like it's weird that you would like just sort of disappear like that slowly.
Yeah.
Whereas I think actually if you were able to, I mean, I think there's older people now that are embracing, things like the carnivore diet and having huge benefit from it. And that carnivore diet is, I mean, I've done it multiple times and I personally felt huge benefit from it. Cognitively, like I often got like sore shoulders, like joint pain and stuff after training. And that started going away when I did that. But I certainly felt like stronger and I felt like I recovered really well when I was doing that diet. I only stopped it because for the kind of training I was doing, for the high rocks and for like more kind of like longer endurance stuff, I just found that my body was like craving more glycogen and it just needed that. So that's why I came off it. But at the time when I was doing it, day to day, like energy levels and cognitively on set, like remembering lines and stuff like that was so much sharper. It was, you kind of lose that clouded vision thing. And I'm not sure if that's the ketogenic aspect of it, running more on ketones, but I certainly felt a benefit from it. And that's a very common report back from that. And I think older generations would probably benefit from just more protein in general.
I remember, going off topic a little bit, but a friend of mine's a hematologist and he told us about this case he saw of a guy who developed scurvy.
Oh yeah.
We don't see scurvy an awful lot.
Scurvy's not
It's like
common.
a black sail kind of story coming back in.
Yeah.
So obviously scurvy's vitamin C.
Yeah.
Hence why you'd have the lemons on ships and
Yeah.
stuff. This guy had eaten nothing but tea and biscuits for like a year. He's in his 70s, lived by himself.
That's all he ate.
All he ate was tea and biscuits. Like, home's under the hammer.
Surprised he didn't get diabetes as well doing that.
Well, yeah,
Never
probably
mind
not a lot
scurvy.
yeah. I think there's a lot of overall calories in the day. So he's just having, imagine your breakfast is the same. It might have different biscuits. You can have a bourbon.
Oh
a
yeah, so
custard
he's
cream.
mixing it up.
So he's getting all the different
Yeah.
essential
That's
vitamins
true.
in. And then, yeah, started bleeding from his gums, bleeding from his joints, and they couldn't work out why. And it's only when they asked that question, like, what do you normally eat? He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
Tin
love a
biscuits.
digestive, like forever."
Pack of digestives.
Yeah.
Custard creams.
Just a cream.
My
What's
goodness.
your? I was going to ask you what's your favorite biscuit, but you don't eat biscuits. do
Well,
you?
I can tell you what it used to be.
Okay, yeah. 20 donuts. Is that?
Well, that's
Go on, favorite biscuit. It's not on the podcast.
chocolate digestive.
Yes.
Yeah.
At last.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Dipped in a cup of tea.
Okay,
Yes, please.
No.
You don't want
It's
to.
the same as people that put gravy in Yorkshire puddings.
Don't put it in it.
My daughter pours it in her.
Yes, I
the
get.
Yorkshire,
Look, I
I
get
find
it
that-
because I like dipping my Yorkshires in gravy, but then you've only got once you've poured it in, you've only got one choice.
Can you imagine
I like the option.
how boring this is to people to
Yeah.
watch? Like,
You
oh,
know.
they're talking about which
Come
is
on.
your favorite biscuit. Brilliant. Anyway, more importantly,
Yeah.
I genuinely did have an interesting question then. So if you're training really hard and you're eating really well and you're on a film set somewhere and you're doing 10 hours a day or something, how do you actually train? Because you can't. Do they have a gym? I don't know how stuff works.
No, well, some sets will do, but no, you just have to get to bed earlier. Depending, you have to figure out when your day is going to start the next day, or as I'm finishing work. Say because generally it's like a 12 to 14 hour day, depending on like a pre-call, which is when you have to go in for like makeup. So on Umbrella Academy, sometimes I was in 2 hours earlier for prosthetics and stuff.
Wait, that was a prosthetic.
Yeah, it wasn't. That's
Sorry,
protein for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you're looking at maybe 12 or 14 hour day, or sometimes longer. So let's say that day starts at 7 a.m. Your pickup's going to be like 6. So that day will likely end somewhere between 8 and 9, maybe. So I will try and plan my eating around that and knowing what time I need to be in bed to be able to get up at like 4:30 to get up and train before my pickup at say 5:36.
Wow. Okay.
So like it's always about trying to get the most amount of sleep possible, and then know that I have enough time to at least get 45 minutes of training in. And depending on what kind of training that is, and how busy my schedule is within a filming schedule, then I know like how many days per week I'm going to be able to get a decent training session in. And then, if you're not shooting weekends, you've got 2 days there where you can get it in.
Yeah.
So as long as you're getting, 4 or 5 sessions in a week, depending on what your goal is from an aesthetic point of view, then you're good.
So that brings you on to a really nice question around, for the average guy, if you could take parts of what you do, because I appreciate your average guy isn't going to be able to bring all of this into his life. If there's something you could say, right, if you just do this, what would be a good start for a guy who wants to be a bit healthier but doesn't know what to do?
I think from my perspective, I'm not an expert by any stretch. All I can go on is anecdotally from my own experience. And when I cut out processed foods and for the grand scale of things, sugar. So yes, I'll, like as I say, like every now and again, maybe once every few weeks, I'll have a dessert that's been made by my mum or whatever. But on a daily basis, cutting out high level glucose stuff like sugar, or things that are highly processed. That was the biggest difference I noticed, being able to maintain a healthy body fat percentage for sure. Certainly if you want to be on the leaner side, cutting those things out will have massive benefit for you. And then also just general movement. Like people sit around all day, not doing anything. People who work at a desk all day, I feel really sorry for, because it's like, well, your movement's taken out. And I think being mobile throughout a day, just like non-exercise movement, is where you get a lot of those benefits as well. Like your just general calorie burn is like going to be higher, and your energy levels are going to be better because you're getting to move around more. You're in fresh air, whatever. So those things, like getting out and about, like I love playing golf now as well, because golf is a great way to walk around for 4 hours, play a game with your mates. It's social. You have like a sense of community, which is really great for us, as we know. So those sort of things are great, so doing that at the weekend when you're not working, go and do it. I think anything that gets you more active in general is a positive thing. Going for walks, get a dog.
To walk.
To walk,
yeah,
and just sit with it.
Yeah. No, I get your point.
Yeah.
I think you're probably right. These are the stuff that we tell people all the time, but it loses its message, doesn't it? When you
Totally.
because it's not clickbait stuff. You want somebody like, oh, if Tom Harper told me all I needed to do was eat bananas, that'd be brilliant because then I could just do that. That'd be great. But actually, moving around a bit and cutting out some sugar is not fun, and it's
it's just the initial thing, right? Like cutting out sugar. Yeah, everyone goes, "Oh, no way I can do that." And trust me, I've been there. 12 Krispy Kremes, right? So I know what it feels like to have those things on a daily basis. But you just start with step one, which is like cutting it down to maybe like one every day, right?
Yeah.
Start with that, and then maybe try a day with none of it, and then have one the next day. Like, do a process. Like, don't think you have to go. A lot of people think it's like this cold turkey thing where you just like cut it out and that's what I've got to do. Some people can do that. Great. Like strong willpower, do it. But most people, including myself, need a process to go, eventually I want to be like there. I want to be able to have none of those things and just live off these things here and I'll feel great. But the brain and the taste buds don't work like that, you know? And I think it's important for people to go, there's a journey to go on here. Like I want to get over there, but I've got to do my own process that works for me to get there. But as long as you're doing it and you're putting those steps in place and you have that goal, then it will work. It's like a workout routine, right?
Yeah.
You work towards a goal. If you're going to do a marathon, you're going to go run 26 miles straight away. You start with 1 mile and you do it like that. And eventually you get to the marathon.
Do you run a marathon?
Would I?
Yeah. Please.
Maybe eventually. I start with this high rock stuff. Like doing more running has made me like enjoy running a lot more than I used to.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe. I'd have to lose a little bit of.
You're too big.
It hurts after 10, 15K anyway.
So you've got a unique job.
I
think most guys would say they'd be in an envious position to try and do a lot of things you get to do. But you've also got a family and you've got kids. And I know we've sort of discussed before. How do you feel the emphasis changes in terms of being there for your family as you get older?
Yeah, I mean, it's everything for me now, right? I mean, before I had kids, it was always about what am I doing for me? Before you have kids, you don't have anyone else to think about in that sense. You only have yourself. And I remember when I saw the scan of my boy Freddie, and we got a very early scan, and he was only like 3-4 weeks pregnant. My wife was at that point. So there's this tiny little dot, and I just saw this like flutter of a heartbeat. And in that moment, everything changed. Everything. Like everything I was doing was now for this, my wife and this little beating heart inside of her. And it's a really, really, for me at least, was an extremely positive thing because I had such purpose that I'd never had before. And when I was doing like auditions for roles, I weirdly like lost a lot of nerves and stuff that I used to get because I was like, I've got to do this. This has got to be right. And I had this real kind of centering that happened in my career. So now I've got 2 kids, Freddie, who's now 10, and Truly, who's 7. And my amazing wife, who's Wonder Woman. I go away for so long at times and she just holds the fort and does an incredible job and is so supportive of me and my career. And
I like the way you didn't say her age. My son's 10. My daughter's 7. My wife.
My wife.
Oh, yeah, no, she's amazing.
I'll let you figure that one out. But yeah, so it's all for them, and balancing that. Well, the hardest thing about my job, is it's all location based, right? So we could be over in the States, could be, Canada, the States, Europe, Africa, you name it. We go all over. I'm about to go to Australia for a movie. So it's challenging, and you got to really just have a great support system. I think my wife is a shining example of what that needs to be for that to work out.
We'll get back to Tom very soon, but I wanted to ask you something first. Here at Man Alive, we want to bring important health topics front and center. I want you to comment below any challenges or concerns that you have with regards men's health. We'll be hoping to cover them in upcoming episodes. And now back to Tom. Do you think there's any changes you've had to make when you're at home now because you have those kids? You can't just go train when you want.
No, I have to train. I mean, I tend to stick on the same kind of schedule, so I'll train early before they get up. So my kids tend to start arising by like 6:30. So I'll be in the gym by like 5 to get a good session in. And also I feel better for that as well. Like, so I'll go to bed. I'm really boring. I go to bed by like 9:30. I'm lights out, and I'm very fortunate I can switch off and go to sleep like quick. So I'll get my like 8 hours in, 7, 8 hours, feel good, and I'll get up, have a coffee, get in the gym and get after it. And then it's all done and dusted. Then I'm straight back in the kitchen making breakfast, empty the dishwasher, do all the things to get them ready.
Just like a normal guy.
Just like a normal guy.
Yeah.
But I love all that. I love doing the school run. I love being at home and getting to do dad stuff, picking them up from school, taking them to extracurricular activities and stuff. Like, truly, my daughter, she started playing golf recently, and we go down to the driving range together and stuff. It's great. So being at home, I try to really double down, and also to give my wife some time back. There was a time where me and my wife were at odds because I would come back, and there's a big learning curve, I think, being a dad. As a dad that certainly like works away a lot, is that you go away and then you try and slot straight back into family life, which is not easy because your wife and the kids have got this routine that they've been working on, and they do the same thing every day. And you kind of come in and start putting your stake in the in the ground, which does not go well. And you have to kind of relearn and refilter back into their life. And that's an adjustment period. So now I have to kind of and my wife, she's had the kids the full time while I'm away.
Yeah.
And I want to see her, but she's like, I literally want time alone. I don't want to see anyone. And that was hard for me because I'd come back and want to see her and be with her. And I sort of went through this adjustment period of going, oh, I kind of get it now. Like, I know that for me and my wife to get back on track the way we were when I was here before, after all this time away, I have to come back in and be like, right, you go do what you want to do. Go have space, go out for the day. I got the kids. I got it. Which is sometimes hard because you're actually knackered from working for the last however many weeks or months.
And
but
it's leg day.
And
so
it's leg day,
want to
so you just got the sleepies, and you're like, well, I shouldn't have squatted. But for the good of the marriage, it's kind of like that thing of looking in the mirror and going, okay, what do I need to do here to like give back a little bit, because she's had all the work at home. I've had none of that. So kind of like diving in head first and going, right, let's let her have her time back for a bit, and then we'll kind of balance out and meet in the middle. So there's been a lot of that, and a lot of like learning curves on the way of me getting it wrong, to be fair, to then hopefully getting it right a bit more often now.
Are there any other particular challenges that you've found as a dad?
I mean, you never know if you're getting it right, as a parent. I think it's, the biggest challenge that me and my wife had, my son, Freddie, he's autistic and nonverbal. And going through that process with him was challenging for us as a couple, because there's a lot of unknowns around having a child like Freddie, and what the future holds for him, what happens when we're not there anymore, all those things that go through your head, and they're challenging for you as an individual and for co-parenting, and your marriage, because you both can approach it from a different angle, which can be challenging. And obviously my daughter, truly, she's neurotypical and doesn't have those challenges. So filtering her into that world as well, and getting her to understand what it means to have a brother like Freddie. So they've been some huge challenges, but also been some of the most amazing outcomes for us as a couple and as a family, because a child like Freddie will put a lot of things into perspective for you. The way he sees the world is so different to the rest of us, and his needs and wants are so simplistic and can reach such a crazy level of happiness on such simple things. Like, I remember during COVID, I would say to Laura, if we were stressed about stuff or the COVID situation, or like, when are we going to work again, all those things. And I remember thinking, like, looking at Freddie, I was like, look at that kid. He's outside, like looking up at the wind blowing the trees and loving life, laughing his little head off. I was like, that kid does not care about any of this crap out here. He's literally just, I'm in nature, loving life. I was like, we could all learn so much from Freddie, you know, and the way he sees things. So that sort of side of it has been so beautiful for us as a couple, because we look at things so differently. And we also, you know, we try to be very active in helping, you know, other parents that might be going through the same thing, because it is a scary, challenging time for couples, and we know what that's like, and you can feel very much alone. So it's important for us to try and reach out to other couples that might be going through that.
It kind of makes you almost like an unaware, unofficial advocate, doesn't it? Because of experience.
I suppose so, yeah. Like you exactly, just purely on experience, because you've gone through it and come through the other side. Like a lot of couples don't survive, their marriages don't survive. You know, when they have a child with special needs, it's incredibly challenging. So it's a very low percentage of success rate in marriages with children with severe special needs. So
I think not being there a lot also helps.
I'm out of the way. Yeah, so my wife's challenges are less when I'm gone. Yeah.
So, oh, you're back.
Yeah, great.
It's fine. So I think we've talked about a lot of your Hollywood stuff, your health, your life in general, of how you approach fatherhood. Is there anything that you wanted to sort of discuss or bring up about your health?
Is there anything I wanted to discuss and bring up about my health? I mean, I think it's interesting now because I turned 40 this year, and I think it's, for me, you know, like health, as I've gone through the years, is one of those things that you, certainly from the goal that I've always had, is that you're always trying to get it right, and you don't always know what the right answer is. You know, I've had times where I think I'm getting it right, and then sometimes like my bloods will show up that I really am not. And I think I'm learning more and more that keeping an open mind when it comes to health and sort of always getting checked is really important, especially as, you know, as you get older. But your body will let you know, I think, if you kind of go, I think I need to just go and get something like a blood test here just to make sure that everything's in sync, because it can.
I'm gonna argue that one.
Okay,
I think your body lets you know. I think because you have such a healthy and positive mindset around this stuff, I think you're much more attuned to that. I think if you have a lifestyle that is, I was going to say some sort of medical phrase, but I was going to say piss poor. But that's not particularly medical.
It's a journal. Yeah.
The journal, I think you get blunted to this stuff.
Yeah.
So you know, because you're having 10 coffees and you're having all the sugar and you're not exercising. So you feel rubbish anyway. So you're like, well, you don't notice those little changes.
That's true, actually, because I mean, I would say that, but as I was saying earlier about, you know, when I was eating badly all the time in my 20s, I just thought it was normal to wake up with headaches and feel that tired and groggy and, you know, just be zapped all the time. Whereas now I feel good most of the time. And then, like, I feel like after flights, like especially like, you know, long haul flying, and I do a lot of it during a year, things like that, like the 2-3 days afterwards, I feel absolutely whacked. But it's kind of like, that's how I used to feel all the time. But it's sometimes like things like that can just throw you off. And I think I should be able to just operate the way I do normally. But my wife always says that. She was like, yeah, you're jet lagged, Tom. Like, give yourself a minute.
Yeah.
But I expect my body to be able to deal with it and just crack on as normal. But then it doesn't. And I'm like, why do I feel so tired? Why do I feel so, you know, this and that?
Do you have to email ahead and ask for one of the extra legroom seats?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you book it early enough to.
Do you have to do the responsible thing and push the door handle in an emergency? I've never been.
Yeah, I had to do that. I was in one of those flights. I just went to a golf trip to Spain, and I was in one of those. I paid the £10 extra on Ryanair. Well worth it. And
that's Hollywood budget.
Yeah, they pay me well.
Yeah,
and I was actually sat between an arguing couple, and I said to them, I was like, "Oh, do you two want to sit next to each other?" And they both turned and went, "No." And I was like, "Oh, wow, okay." So I sat next to the actual door, and got explained how to open the door by a Polish, I think she was Polish, she said, air stewardess. And I didn't understand a word of how to open the door.
So in an emergency, you screwed.
I had to just read the instructions.
What you've got to do is...
Yeah, that's what I looked at it. I was like, oh, it's the flap, pull, open, throw.
It's like how we learned surgery.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Same manual.
So if there's one thing that we could take home today and you could say to the average guy who wants to start being healthy, wants to lead a better life,
Yeah.
what would be your first thing you say to them?
First thing, move more, whatever that is. Start moving more. Get out. Go for a walk. Go for a run. Come off processed foods.
I said first thing.
First
I
thing.
didn't list of like 10
Oh,
things.
okay. Well, here's the
All right,
thing.
let's do an
Here's
order.
the thing of being
All right,
fitter
okay.
is that it's not a one size fits all,
Ah.
number one, and it's not a one.
Very good.
So you have to take into account like pillars, right? So your pillars are like movement. So movement is a big one. So just start moving more. Nutrition.
Yeah.
So come off processed foods and start eating real food. Like if it comes in a packet, it's got 1,000 ingredients. That ain't real food. Stick to the outside of the supermarket. That's a good start. Don't go inside. If you go inside, then you got all the jars and all processed stuff. And the other one is sleep and rest and making sure that you're getting optimal sleep. Don't go to bed at stupid o'clock in the morning and reading things on Instagram. Put your phone away. Go to sleep. Get proper rest. The difference that makes alone is huge, I think.
Phil.
And
I think that's probably when I send you most of my funny memes on Instagram.
yeah, I
about
get a lot
2
from you
in
at
the
that time in the morning.
Sorry.
Like, Jeff.
Yeah, guys, that too. I completely agree. I think the problem with all this stuff is, and it's going to come around time and time again, it's the same messages.
Yeah. Well, that's the
But
thing is
that's-
like people talk about a magic pill, right? And there's all these things about Ozempic and stuff now, and like these kind of weight loss drugs, which a lot of people, particularly in the States, I've noticed, are taking those and getting much thinner for it. But I don't believe it to be the most optimal way for your body because you're using a drug to suppress the calorie intake rather than actually teaching your body that it doesn't need that, and also getting benefit from movement and stuff. So just to be healthier, like I think the magic pill is literally that. The magic pill is just taking control of your own decisions and making healthier, more sensible ones. You know what to do. Like I always knew what I needed to do, and that all the information is out there. You know, everyone can get access to ChatGPT now. You go, oh, how do I lose weight? How do I eat a healthier diet? It will tell you straight up what to do. You can get crazy workout regimes now. If I'm, this BMI, if I'm this amount of kilograms in weight and I have this much % body fat, what workout regime and eating plan should I do? You can put that into ChatGPT and it will tell you exactly what to do. So the information is there. All you have to do is execute it. And I know that's much easier said than done because I've been there. I've been on the other side of that. My wife always said that I had a little John Candy inside of me. And she always used to say that you were like, yeah, your little John Candy's coming out when I would want to eat all that crap. And that guy's still in there. I still look at these things and go, oh man, I would eat that entire tray of brownie right now. And sometimes I lose out to him. Sometimes I'm like, I don't care. I'm having it. The difference is I don't do it all the time. I don't do it every day.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it when I do it. But then you go, okay, well, I'm getting back on the carriage and I'm working out tomorrow and getting rid of all of that. And then I'm back on the health train. So for me, I just think it's about taking control of your own, behaviors. You are ultimately responsible for that. So just take control of it.
Tom, this has been absolutely amazing. Thanks so much for coming on Man Alive.
Pleasure, mate.
If people want to hear about what you're up to next or want to follow you, what's the best way to do that?
The only social media I'm on is Instagram, Tom Hopper Hops. That's
And in
right.
terms of next big projects, anything?
I've got Terminalist, True Believer coming out, and then I've got a few other movies coming out later next year.
Awesome. Well, I very much look forward to that. Thanks again.
Thanks, man.
Thanks so much for watching this episode of Man Alive. I'm sure you had a mate, colleague, or family member you thought of at least once while watching this. Maybe you're a fan of Umbrella Academy. Share this episode with just one person and let's grow together. See you next time.